Hey everybody, Coach here. Thanks for joining me this week. This week I'm coming to you outside the world-renowned Niagara Falls in Northwest New York, outside the large town of Buffalo. And why do I tell you that? It's because what I see around me is huge amount of people, keeping their distance of course, but all of them family-oriented and enjoying one of the spectacular wonders of nature, that being Niagara Falls. So, how does Niagara Falls, Coach, possibly tie into landscaping? It has to do with the family unit. And this week we're talking about landscaping with family involvement, creating those memories that will never be forgotten, both immediate family and extended family. So this is based on all the experience, both as a designer, as a contractor, as a father, and as a husband. Okay? That's what I'm bringing to you. How you can make it nice, simple, fun, and enjoyable for all of those concerned. Hey, I'm glad you're here. Let's get started, shall we? Hey, my name's Matt. You can call me Coach. Every week I bring to you landscape design theories and concepts in an easy to understand format so you can go out and tackle those projects yourself, get professional results that you want, be a heck of a lot more self-reliant, and save a lot of money in the process. Man, after a 20+ year career, I have found that I have a lot of knowledge and experience that I want to share with you, the new modern self-reliant homeowner of today. Okay, little disclaimer here, because I am very much a realist and life has taught me a lot of things about family dynamics over the course of a couple, 2 or 3 careers. But for some of you, this might be taking on hell itself. Maybe you don't have the family dynamic, the congruency and cohesiveness that would allow you to do that. And for that, I'm truly sorry. For some of you, it might be a challenge. You might have to dig deep and find some extra patience and be able to look at things through other people's eyes and listen through other people's ears in order to find compromise. And then there are those families out there where this will just be a blast because they do have that chemistry. Kids are at just the right age. Husbands and wives are always on the same page. And these kinds of projects can really solidify a family unit. So done right, the memories, those good memories, will last a lifetime for all of those involved. Done wrong, it can oftentimes really damage a family unit and result in hurt feelings and things being said that aren't really meant, and turn out to be a very disastrous event rather than something created out of fun, enjoyment, and memories for years to come. So, little story for you. There I was, sitting at yet another kitchen table. I must have sat at, I don't know, 1,500 kitchen tables over my career or more. And there I was, sitting with my 2 clients, a husband and wife. We were there after they had hired me for a design job, and it was a backyard makeover. And I thought, we're all on the same page. And I had talked to them extensively, both on the phone, both electronically, and also face-to-face. And as a designer, oftentimes we become the lord of compromise, so to speak. We find ways to make things work despite maybe this person wanting something different and this person wants something a little different. And you take your experience and your knowledge and you bring it together so that you have a middle ground. And as a designer, that was one of my traits, something you really had to do because it created confidence from a client standpoint in the person, the professional sitting in front of them, and later on, the one ripping their yard out and putting something new in. But there I was, sitting there, and we had gone through all the facets of the design, all the things that I'd said, we'll just use fictitious names. There you go, Bob. That basically takes care of those things that you wanted. And Sally, you wanted these things, and we've got a little bit of everything, so I hope you like it. Both Bob and Sally loved it. And then the wheels came off the bus. From that point on, there was one question asked by one spouse, and they said, hey Matt, how much would it cost to upgrade from the type of flat work that we're doing, the patios and walkways, how much more would it cost to make that a colored concrete with a stamped finish? The other spouse, all I remember is something very similar to this. Hello, we're at the top of the budget as it is already. Basically in that tone, in that inflection. The other party responded with, no need to snap, I was just asking a question. Where Coach stooped in and said, well, let's figure it out. And I said, it will cost about this much more. There you go. When the wheels came off the bus, there was no landscape designer, there was no contractor, there was no priest, there was nothing that could put those wheels back on right then. This went through about a 30-second meltdown for a husband and wife argument that was so heated and so violent words-wise that I rolled up my stuff and I left the house and went outside, sat in my truck, turned on the air conditioning, shook my head and went, well, I don't think I'm going to get paid for this one, at least today. Well, it got so loud that I could hear it from inside the truck, and I had a diesel truck, and it was, you know, I mean, it's a diesel truck. It made a little bit of noise, but it must have been so loud within the neighborhood that the police were called. When the police arrived, they obviously settled the matter. Bob was sent on his way. There was no physical violence, and Sally slammed the door, and there Coach is sitting out in the truck going, So I fired the beast up and I went home. It was about 2 weeks later that I got a call from Sally. Sally had her proverbial hat in her hand, and she said, Coach, I really want to apologize, and I should have called a lot earlier. But Bob and I have patched things up. The issues at hand there was a lot bigger than just cement and the finish and the color, obviously. Would you consider coming back and talking to us about the backyard project? I said, sure. You know, I kind of need to get paid for the design to begin with. She goes, yep, I got your check right here for you. So I went back up and I sat down with Sally and Bob, and they both went, yeah, we were really out of line, sorry. Can we move forward? I said, absolutely, let's move forward. And from that point on, yes, I got paid, but there's a family dynamic that probably should have been addressed long before I walked in that house that day. And we went on to do a real nice backyard project for them. They were very, very happy the last time I had conversation with them, which was about 3 or 4 years later at one of the local garden shows that they were walking through. They had some other things they were going to have done, and they said, hey, Coach, how you doing? Hey, Bob, Sally, how you know? I mean, we had a chat. Everything seemed to be good. All right, moving forward in the family dynamic and family involvement in a landscape project. Okay, one of the things that I want to say up front is I'm a big proponent of family involvement when it comes to a landscape project. And I mean all the family. Mom, dad, kids, sans doggo for now, okay? But doggo may have to be considered as part of the landscape project, at least planning around his or her lifestyle and habits. So, where does it start? Well, I'll tell you what. The conversations that I've had with folks have gone from 30-somethings with wee ones toddling around the kitchen floor to 85-year-old parents living within the house, and the kids are now the ones, you know, making decisions with input from the parents. So I've seen a lot. I've seen, you know, probably, like I said, 1,500 or more kitchen tables in my lifetime. And what I find is there is definitely a dynamic when you walk in here. What I want to impress with you is that there has to be communication, good, positive conversation, and compromise long before the professional even arrives. There had to have been discussions somewhere saying, this yard just doesn't cut it for us anymore. We need something new. Let's sit down over dinner and let's talk about it. Now that may be one of the people involved's idea, but how does that person filter that out into the family arena so that everything works. That is something that you really have to practice in the communication style so that everyone kind of gets a little bit of what they want within limits, within budget, within time frames, within your skill set and mastery of what you can do on your own versus what you have to hire out. That's before I even come in the front door. You know, you shop around for a few designers or contractors to come out, and if and when they call you back, they actually show up on time, and you sit down and you have a chat with them. Maybe you hire one of them. Let's start with the wee ones first of all. Obviously someone in diapers probably is not going to have that much input on what happens with the landscape project. But when you get into late toddlers, and I'm talking 4 or 5 years old, right around the late preschool, early kindergarten stage, they should be bounced on the knee and the discussion should be there, at least initially. At least their opinion asked for. At least their answer should be considered. It's amazing how much involvement those little kids are, like little radar dishes picking up everything that's going on. And what they say is, I want a sandbox. Thank you, Julie. That's perfect. We'll consider that. You already got Julie reined into the project. Now, moving up into older kids, say like grade school age. Now you got kids that have a definite opinion, especially in this day and age. They have ideas, and they may even bring in opinions from outside sources that they were over at the Joneses and the Joneses did this. It looked really cool. That kind of opinion buys them into the project as well. Then when you get up into the teenagers, my grandma always said, before you slam somebody, you always say, bless their heart. So teenagers, bless their hearts, they have the capabilities of forming opinions, giving opinions, offering and working within guidance and supervision, and then actually caring for and posting and doing all the things that teenagers do nowadays. That whole age group from wee ones to teenagers have to be a part of the program. They really do. Now, let's talk about mom and dad. Mom and dad, as I mentioned previously in the show, they have to be on the same page. They have to be on the same page before they even get the kids involved, and certainly before I get there. So, how do they do it? Well, depending on whose idea it is, and it might be both of them. You know, I generally always had one leading the charge, and then the other one following, going, yep, it's a good idea, but it's his idea, or it's her idea, or whatever. Here we go. Dinner out. A weekend away. Movie night. Date night. And a nice positive discussion on listening to that other person first before you voice your opinions. Hey, honey. Hey, babe. Hey, sweetheart. Whatever it might be. You know, we've been considering this. What kind of things would you like to see happen back there if we had a budget of X? What's important to you? Well, I'd like to have this, and I'd like to have that, and I think something like this would work really well, blah, 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 blah. It don't matter what it is. Hear it out. Hear it out. Don't lop them at the knees. Hear it out and ask for the why. Why do you think that's important? This is how you get to a communication level over a home improvement project where everybody is congruent. Then afterwards, you can complement the idea. You can say, you know something, a hammock spot is a fantastic idea. You know, we could put up a couple 6x6 posts right next to the waterfall. What, you want a waterfall? Well, I was thinking about it. What do you think? What do you think about a pondless waterfall there? And we could have 2 nice hammock spots that we could both go out there. We'd be under the neighbor's big tree canopy. See where I'm going? Okay, so congruency between husband and wife or mom and dad, very, very important. So where do you start? Where do you start these things so that they grow small and they get bigger? And eventually they're a full-blown landscape makeover, either DIY or professionally done. My experience has always been start small. You started the wee ones small, get them involved small. And here's what I used to do. You know, if I had a small project and I wanted a little family involvement, it was a Saturday morning run to the nursery. And I'd take the kids with me. And they'd run around and see, you know, all the various plants and that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, garnering them back in, we'd get what I needed. Maybe it was a big color project, okay, and we were going to plant up a big color bowl or some hanging baskets or whatever. I'd get what I needed, and then we would go have ice cream, frozen yogurt, a hamburger, or whatever it might have been. You know, the little reward for good behavior. You got home and you made it a family project, putting all these things together, you know, hanging them up outside on the patio or out by the pool, whatever it might have been, and then you're done. With that, when you are done, have them take a picture with the project. Kids are hams. They love photography. They love being, you know, posing for the camera and whatever else kids do. Here's a great example, one that I pull right from my own experience. And if I was not older, I did have some extended family that had kids. So, how about a weekend project that you can narrow down to about 6 hours? And that would be one of the little fire pit projects that you can get from one of the box stores. You can level out the area that you need to, go take everybody down and you get the fire pit, you put it in the truck or you have it delivered, and then you put it together. You put it together with everybody concerned there. Level it on all sides and you stack up the 3 or 4 rings and you drop the metal ring in, and then that night it's s'mores night. So don't forget the fire, don't forget the logs, don't forget the firewood, okay? And the marshmallows and everything goes with it. And suddenly you've got a one-day project where everybody had a hand in it. Now the next step, how about something just a little bigger? How about something like a 4x8 vegetable box or berry box or some type of organic sustainable that you want to put in there. Run to the lumber yard. You know, if you got little ones, you play with them a little bit by going to the tool belt aisle and you throw a tool belt around them. You put a hammer in one side and, you know, a screwdriver in the other, and you make it fun. Buy the items you need. Go get the soil. Bring it home. Assemble it the next day. This becomes a weekend project, just a little bit bigger. And you get out there and put it together in a morning and fill it all up, compact it down. You got your little plants and stuff you're going to put in there. They help you plant it. You know, maybe they make a little sign for each row of whatever they've planted, and then teach them how to be patient and watch it grow. Here's a little pro tip, and that is make sure you plant some radish, or you plant something that's going to germinate fast, mature quickly, and that they can harvest generally within half a season. And that really turns them on. Okay, let's talk about extended family. Extended family can be very, very useful or a pain in the ass, one or the other, depending on what the chemistry is within the family dynamic. A lot of extended family have a lot of mad skills that they can bring to the table. Not only able-bodied, but also some people have equipment, power equipment that you don't have. They have trailers, they have all kinds of things. And oftentimes, those people can really lighten your load a lot when it comes to banging it out at a couple of weekends. You know, those folks, well-fed and well-watered afterwards, will greatly appreciate the involvement that you get and be very grateful to them. They spent their weekend with you. They spent their days off when they could have been watching the game or out at fishing or camping or traveling or whatever, and they sweated it out with you in the backyard or the front yard. One thing I will say is, yes, the person writing the checks are generally the boss, but always remember to listen. You know, parents, grandparents, brother-in-laws, sister-in-laws, they all bring their own experiences to the table. And sometimes you really have to listen. You have to listen, you have to hear their opinions out. Final decision is going to rest with you, but how you listen to things is going to depend on how much help you get, both now and in the future. All right. One last thing before I say goodbye for this week. Family involvement is one of the greatest things in a landscape project. It is a very tangible result type of family involvement. It's something that they can see, something they can feel, something they can touch, eventually something that they can harvest, and it will create great, great memories. If you got kids involved, make sure you allow them to do kid-level stuff, including digging holes with you, getting dirty with you. Don't worry about, put them in their grubbies, throw them out there in the dirt, let them pull stuff out to the trailer or the dumpster with you. Let them get all gunked up. It's okay. A hose wash off or a good shower or bath, they'll get cleaned up, and you actually allowed them to get filthy. The other thing is safety. Safety is paramount when it comes to a landscape project. Sometimes you have open trenches. You have power equipment like chainsaws and trenchers and rototillers and sod cutters. You've got mini skid steers and skid steers. You got excavators if we go big. So make sure you expose those young'uns to everything that is involved in a safe and sane manner. Don't say no over and over and over and over again. All it does is create a curious George that all they're going to want to do is go out and experiment when your back is turned. And the last thing you need is for someone to fall in a trench, start pulling on a starter cord that shouldn't be pulled. Those kinds of things, that's where supervision and a safe work site really comes into play. I'll tell you, I speak from experience because I used my boys when they were growing up. In their later adolescent years, they worked shoulder to shoulder with me on several projects, and I really enjoyed their company. Was the chemistry always 100%? No. When you got a parent-kid relationship, there's always guidance and correction, and sometimes noses get bent a little bit, including mine, but in the end, everything worked out okay. A really fond memory was with my youngest son when we did a weekend 2-day project of a pondless waterfall. As a dad, that one was special. And he's in his late 20s now, and we still talk about that on occasion. Very, very fun. He had a hand in all parts of it, all parts, from digging to lining to bouldering to throwing the switch, and it was a very, very good time. So when it comes to children, mom and dad, start them small, expose them early, get their buy-in on little simple projects. As far as spouses, be congruent. Hear the other person out extensively sometimes. There's no room for a bossy the cow in this thing. It is their property and their home just as much as it is yours. So talk about it, talk it out, and be on the same page. If you decide to bring in a professional, make sure that you're congruent before that professional shows up. As far as working with family members, be patient, be consistent, and most importantly, be safe. This will be something that you guys will remember, if done correctly, for the rest of your lives. You'll remember that cherry tree that you and your little son or daughter planted, and then you let them name it. That was Johnny's cherry tree or whatever. And when you build that dog run, it's going to be Fido's dog run, and you can have them make a little wooden sign and paint it and hang it on the thing. Get them to buy in on that stuff. Just remember, parental supervision and safety, and most importantly, patience. Hey, I hope you got something out of this. I really appreciate you sticking with me to the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like it so that this channel can grow even more. And I'll catch you guys next week, every Friday. Don't forget to check out the podcast. And as always, the website is there for your free 15-step DIY landscape checklist and my book and digital course. Guys, thanks for taking the time. As always, to your landscape success, take care.